Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Wilfred, Season 4, Episode 4, Answers. Oh my god, guys. This episode was amazing. Like, wow. I love this episode so much. It really shows how dramatic this show is getting, because this episode was the most dramatic episode of the show so far. It was probably it was a creepy episode, believe it or not. There were creepy moments in this episode, definitely. Things that I was not expecting to happen in this episode. But, we definitely didn't get a lot of answers. Basically, this episode was just really, really interesting. The beginning of this episode seemed extremely normal, and then the rest of the episode got really weird after one of their things. Let's just start off with what it was basically about. The beginning of this episode just seemed simple. It was basically him meeting up with, what was his name? I'm trying to remember what his name was. Dr. Grumman's basically trying to get some answers about the flock and the Gray Shepherd. He wants to know what it represents, things like that. And that's pretty much what was going on, was he wanted to know what was going on with the flock and the Gray Shepherd, and he wouldn't give him any, answers as to what was going on with that. And he was trying to figure out, what was going on there. And, however, in order for him to do this, he had to run a lab experiment on Wilfred. By the way, we got a few funny scenes from Wilfred in this episode. There were only, a couple funny scenes, and I like that about this show, that there were only a couple. Now, eventually, Wilfred ends up being tortured by this machine. This machine ends up torturing Wilfred, and Ryan doesn't know what's going on or whatever. It turns out, though, that the machine that was torturing Wilfred was never plugged in, so Wilfred was faking it the entire time. So, that was really weird. The question is, how did he unplug it? And then after that, Wilfred mysteriously opened the door. Now, dogs can't open the door because they have a paw. They don't have a hand like you and me. They don't have an opposable thumb. So, how could have Wilfred opened the door? Well, Ryan's trying to guess, because it seems impossible after that. Now, after this happens, weird shit starts to happen. We all of a sudden see Kristen come into the doctor's office, and she wants to give Ryan a sedative. Basically, because I guess, she needed to give it. I was like, what? Why is she giving him a sedative? And all of a sudden, he wouldn't let her give it to her. He wouldn't let her give it to him, and he put it in Kristen, basically. But pretty much, it seemed to get really weird as the episode got on, and, this definitely seemed like Progress. This episode really reminded me of Progress, which was a completely absurd episode, but this episode was very much like that. However, I like this episode more. Progress I liked, but this episode I loved. I really did. Now, after this happens, the episode gets weirder and weirder as it goes on, because what ends up happening is Wilfred is then taken to be experimented on, we think, but Ryan starts to see things, basically. He sees really weird things, actually. He starts to see things like Wilfred and the actress that plays Jenna arguing about, who's better for Ryan. We don't know why this is, and it's not Jenna, it's the actress that plays Jenna, which is really weird. And the weirdest part about this whole thing is Ryan, looks at Wilfred, and Wilfred actually unzips his dog costume, takes off his dog costume, and and there's Jason Gann saying, "You fat piece of shit, it's over." So, this is trying to say that Wilfred is just a man in a dog suit. We've always thought this. That definitely is very interesting. And I thought there was definitely, a very interesting scene. And there's more. There's more as it goes on. Because then Ryan all of a sudden starts, hallucinating everything. And it turns out that, Ryan goes into this room. It's completely, white. It was really creepy, honestly. The room was, completely white. And it was full of spy cam monitors. And it has this thing called a Ryan timeline. And push-pin photos of everyone he had ever talked to. And I was thinking, wait a second, is this the Truman Show or something? Like, seriously, it seemed like everyone was in on this idea to, basically it was all like a plan to make Ryan go insane. That was basically what the plan was. But it turns out Ryan sees the real Wilfred, and Wilfred tells him, this is not real, this is all in your head, because, Wilfred set an alarm off, and basically he said to Ryan, turn the alarm off. And Wilfred said to him, this is not real, they put a drug in the water you drank, and it made you go unconscious, it made you, all your greatest, basically, if you, put you under, and when it puts you under, all your greatest fears come out, and, basically, Ryan wakes up, and, there's Dr. Grumman's. He says the idea was to make your worst fears come true. And basically, now that that's happened, honestly, the big question is, why the hell would Ryan think of all this? Why would Ryan think in his head it was like the Truman Show? Why would he think that? That doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. I don't know why Ryan would exactly think that, but that was definitely very, very thought-provoking. So then Dr. Grumman says to him, alright, now you're awake, now wait a couple seconds and I will tell you about Flock and the Grey Shepherd. And, yeah, that was definitely, so yeah, I thought the dream sequence, everything, that was really well done, amazing acting there, that was one of the most dramatic things that's ever happened on this show. Now, here's the biggest part of this episode. Dr. Grumman does talk to him about, the Flock and the Grey Shepherd in this episode. He says that the Flock and the Grey Shepherd, the myth was stupid, but we do find out one huge thing. Basically, we knew that the Flock and the Grey Shepherd, there was a dog who was a god that could lead the chosen one to happiness. However, this is really big. There's another god that is like the one that leads him to happiness. However, this god is made to basically destroy his life and destroy him. So, but the big thing is, you can't tell which one is which. So that is a huge thing now. Is Wilfred the god of happiness or the god of destruction? We don't know now. And, that's, I think, is a huge cliffhanger. That's an awesome cliffhanger, in my opinion. I thought that was just a really, really good cliffhanger. Because we don't know if Wilfred is the god of happiness or the god of destruction. We don't know which one he is, and I think that's really awesome, honestly, the way they do that. In terms of, the story and everything, it's a really awesome story. And now that we know this, it's going to get really interesting now, definitely. And I really love that the show is getting so, so dark. It's really great. It's perfect for the final season. And next week, we're already halfway through the season, so. Now, let me talk about what I thought of this episode. Now, this episode really didn't give us too many answers. The answers part was really about Ryan wanting to get answers. That's really what it was about. It was about him and his mind trying to figure out what's going on. But they were trying to, we were finding out these huge revelations, which I thought was real. When Wilfred unzipped his dog costume, I literally freaked out. I was like, oh my god. Now, this really shows that that is not true, that Wilfred is not a man in a dog suit. We know this now, and honestly, that's a good thing, because that's one less thing that Wilfred could be. Pretty much now, I'm thinking Wilfred is the god of destruction. He's there to ruin Ryan's life, and basically, Dr. Grumman said you don't know till it's too late. So, maybe this show is going to end with Ryan dying, and then he will find out. I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens there. But this episode was amazing. I don't know why everyone had problems with it. Everyone seemed to have problems with this episode, and I had no problems with it at all. I thought it was a perfect episode, in my opinion. I loved it. I really loved all the crazy shit that was going on in this episode. Like, crazy amounts of shit was going on in this episode, especially after Ryan started to hallucinate. I'm still trying to figure out why Ryan would think all of this. Why do you think? Okay. Oh, one other thing we did find out. Now, this also brings in that possibility that Ryan is there that Wilfred is there to destroy Ryan's life, because Wilfred sent that email to his dad. Wilfred is the one that sent that email to his dad, and it was Wilfred that did it all along. And that's a pretty big thing, too, because we don't know who that caller was. Now, why do I think that caller was actually set up by Wilfred? Now, if Wilfred really is there to destroy Ryan's life, then maybe he set up that caller to make Ryan go crazy, and maybe the reason Ryan thinks all this is because Wilfred has made him think all of this. Maybe that's what the possibility is. I really don't know. It's a really complex theory. It's going to get very interesting, but I think the show is getting even more interesting now, and I'm really looking forward to the next episode because of the ending of this episode. I thought this end of the episode was fantastic, and I really did enjoy it. But let me know what you guys saw of this episode of Wilfred. I thought it was a perfect episode. I was really into it the entire time. I loved all of the, dream sequences. I thought that was really cool. And as I said, this episode was like Progress. The difference was that Progress was hilarious. This episode was not hilarious at all. This episode makes Wilfred a psychological thriller. It really does. Wilfred is officially a psychological thriller, especially after this episode. Yes, it does have comedic things with Wilfred, but it's mostly a psychological thriller, and that's why I really do love this show. I think it's fantastic because of that, and that's the main reason why I love this show. I think it's just great, and this does make sense why Wilfred could be the god of destruction, because he's driven Drew away, he's driven Jenna away, he's driven Drew away, he's driven Jenna away from him, he's ruined all of Ryan's relationships, because, Allison, I think her name was. No, not Allison. Amanda, Amanda went crazy. Amanda and Ryan, they were together. But of course, she went crazy. Or is she, working with Wilfred? I don't know, because Wilfred's there. If Wilfred really is a god of destruction, then obviously Wilfred knows what he's doing. So we'll have to see what happens. But that's been my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.